So, once again, a massive thank you to Chris and the beautifully named Puerto Montt City Orchestra for coming down and spending an hour with us, playing their beautiful music and telling us about all the things that are happening in their non-prolific world. Now, we welcome to the Chesterfield here at the Horatia Holloway Road, Dom Fripp. Hello, Dom.
Hello, Geffin. Sorry. Bad mic technique. I forgot about that. We're not just mates, are we?
No, we're not just mates now. Okay. We're on the sofa now.
Hi, Geffin. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. As you can see, I've drawn the short straw and I've been here all afternoon.
Yeah.
But it has given me the opportunity to be here for this moment and this conversation, which we have been trying to make happen for some time.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Yeah. How's your journey? How'd you get up here? You all right?
So I live in North Swindon, so a simple train journey up. Very easy to get here. No delays. It's a beautiful day, sunny weather. Can't complain.
North London shines. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I lived here for 10 years. In the whole of the most of the 2000s and the late 90s.
Yep.
That's how I met you and Matt. And so it's nice to be back again.
It's lovely to have you. It's lovely to have you and lovely to see you. And I should probably just hand the mic to Matt so as he can say hello as well.
Hi, I'm Matt Young, the better half of Richie Soul. I'm just going to join in this lovely yacht rock chat with Dom and Gaff. So, Dom, yacht rock, tell us about it.
Wow. I mean, it's a big topic. So what is it that I suppose there's two things, right? I guess we have to start with the type of music it is, but also why it's called yacht rock. And these are two separate things. So I guess the term yacht rock covers a mostly American type of kind of soft, mellow, adult, album-orientated, jazz-infused rock music from the mid-70s through to the mid-80s. But it wasn't actually called yacht rock at the time. That wasn't a contemporary term. The term yacht rock was coined in 2005 by a bunch of YouTube comedians. I'm going to try and remember the names, but not right now. And they did a kind of a set of comedy sketches on YouTube that featured a lot of the famous artists from that kind of genre. And so these are people like Michael McDonald, yep, Kenny Loggins, Hall & Oates, and others. So Steely Dan. Controversially, and we'll get to that. Yeah. So that term has been kind of retroactively applied to a certain amount of controversy because it was considered a pejorative term, that it was slightly mocking the music. But the people who coined the term, they did a podcast in the 10s called...
They did the podcast for years, right?
Yeah, so that was called Beyond Yacht Rock, and I think through that they had a much... you could tell that they had a much more appreciation of the music than just simply kind of taking the mick out of these artists. Like they really revered it, and they came up with their own kind of classification system about what yacht rock is, and we can talk about that later.
And the whole, it's yacht or it's nyat.
Yacht or nyat, yeah. And again, a source of controversy, but I think I'm kind of with Michael McDonald on this, who said, you know, as long as people are talking about the music and checking it out, then that's a good thing. So it doesn't matter how they come to it. And I'm the same. I was aware of this music. I was big into, Jackson Browne, the Byrds, Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, that kind of early 70s kind of West Coast thing.
And that kind of Laurel Canyon thing as well.
Absolutely, Laurel Canyon. So Ned Doheny is a prime example of that, and we'll play a bit of Ned. I'll put some Ned Doheny on the decks later. But so it really got me into this music, and of course, what I found as I went through this was I never came to it as a joke. I'm like, let's find out what this music's about, and there's some absolute belters, is all I can say. And ever since I found that out, I'm like, I've just decided to collect it. It's like, it's not the only thing, it's not an obsession, but it is something that I do enjoy. I do enjoy finding this music and playing it, so it should be fun.
Yeah, the great thing about this music is that you can go to just, second-hand record shops and pick up, things quite cheap. And, there's a lot of cover, because of the time in the 70s when they pressed a lot of records, you can find these vinyls still out there, cheap prices in various record shops.
Yeah, it's a good fun to find because, as Matt says, part of it is there's an availability to it if you know what you're looking for. But the other thing about it is a lot of this music was US based. Not all of it came to the UK. So part of going out and looking for it is finding a real diamond in the rough, like an unexpected treasure. And when you know it, you see it, and you have to buy it, basically, as long as it's in good nick.
Yeah, because you've got, all the main artists like the Doobie Brothers, Steely Dan, things like that you can still pick up cheap now, second hand. Yeah, but then there's the more obscure bands that we were actually talking about earlier, like Ambrosia, who, you can't find an LP of theirs in the UK at a decent price anyway.
No, that's true. I mean, I think some of the albums that came out in the late 70s, early 80s that have become collector's items. I mean, there was a big, Japan was all over this sound, as you can probably imagine, as they get and it kind of starts blending into city pop in certainly the 80s period of this. So they did a lot of pressings themselves. Japanese pressings, very good quality. Not cheap, unfortunately, and you've still got to import them. So at some point you have to look at spending some money if you really want something. But I still think there's bargains out there. And part of the enjoyment for me about Yacht Rock has been going out and searching the record stores, the charity shops even, and just trying to track this stuff down. I mean, we talked about this earlier on, didn't we? It's like, yeah, you could go to Discogs and fill your cart up and buy it all if you had the money. But where's the fun in that? It's more fun to go out and just find some of this in the wild. And
that kind of purchase, a couple of years ago, when we started doing more of the kind of gigs in here and other venues, I decided I needed a little selection of these things on 7-inch, right? And I just went and bought the kind of, the big numbers, and I just did that on Discogs, but and various eBay and various other places, and so that's got a place. But you're absolutely right. Going to record fairs, going to charity shops, it's record store day to day.
Yeah.
So we need to fly the flag for that. There was a time when, a bit like pubs now, they were dying on their arse. So we have to support these places and keep them alive, otherwise they'll be gone. And there's so much fun in going to a record shop or a charity shop or a record fair and digging through in and amongst the kind of Burt Bacharach box sets and things like that, of like paper thin vinyl. Yeah. There's little treasures to be had, right? And fun to be had.
It's completely true. You really good point about supporting record stores, because it is record store day to day. And even that's become slightly saturated by the convention of pumping out kind of new and rare stuff. This is really about, hey, there may be some Yacht Rock reissues, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of it's kind of forgotten music, and I think one of the points of what Yacht Rock's done as a term is kind of regenerate interest in the genre, and it hasn't led to a kind of a flood of copycats, although there are some bands now who honour the sound. I wouldn't say it's copycats.
I mean, we are massive fans of Young Gun Silver Fox.
Yeah, me too.
I'll just put that out there right now. If you don't know them, you haven't heard them, go and check them out. They are amazing. And I think you're absolutely right. That's a great example of a band that honour the sound and do something with it, do their own thing with it. I mean, it helps that he's a wonderful vocalist. But, anyway, I'm drifting off the topic. But, yeah.
So, yeah, and I think honouring the sound's really important because, I think one of the things that distinguishes Yacht Rock, and a lot of people think it's putting on the hats, the Hawaiian shirts, listening to Jimmy Buffett or something like that. And it's not quite that. When you go back to the artists who were making this, they took it very seriously.
Extremely.
From a songwriting craft through to studio technique and production. Yeah. This was very kind of elite music. And I like that elitism slightly cost it in the end because it was felt to be remote or didn't have anything to say about politics or the world that was going on around it. But in terms of musicality, in terms of what they were pushing for, particularly bands like Steely Dan, who are incredibly influential and have been, and were, you know, the progenitors really of that sound. They were the ones that came up with studio craft so tight that everyone else wanted, I want to sound like that. And that's what's really important. Is this is very sophisticated music, like musically, and it's like perhaps it's not for everyone, but it's very aware of itself. It's very keen on melody. The production, the craft is all very strong. So, you know, that makes it very listenable, I think.
So, I'm thinking we need to play some yacht rock. But we need Mac at the station to put us in. So look, we'll fill for a moment, which obviously, as you've experienced over the course of the afternoon, I'm very adept at doing.
King of the Phil, mate.
But Phil, they call me the Philmeister. Tell us about the first record you're going to play, and then let's get it on the decks and let's get into it.
So, you know, we talked about, so I did mention that it's from the mid-70s to say, so the traditional kind of understanding of what the period that yacht rock covers is 1976 to 1984. Now that the people that do the Beyond Yacht Rock podcast, they came up with that definition. But one of the other fun things is to think they talk about proto-yacht, like what came before yacht that inspired yacht, the people to make yacht. So the first song I've chosen to play is from 1972.
Is there post-yacht as well?
I guess there might be, we can come to that as we go through a little journey.
Yeah, warehouse yacht.
Possibly. But I've started in 72, so vintage years when I was born, so it says, you know, good times. And you might not be familiar with this song, but you might be familiar with one of the artists at least, because I'm going to hold this cover up because it's so good. I mean, you've got to check the hairstyles out on this. So one of the artists is Kenny Loggins, who, like,
you know, in the Irv.
You might know from like Footloose, Danger Zone, Top Gun, all of that stuff. But before all of that, he was a yacht rocker. Not that it was called that, but he was a very sophisticated, strong songwriter. He wrote for a lot of different artists who wouldn't know about it. But this is where he started. He worked with another artist called Jim Messina, who went on to form a band called Poco. Check them out because they're not quite yacht, but they're kind of country. They're really nice. And this is the first album that I bought or went looking for that I thought, I can hear something of yacht in it. There's a track called Angry Eyes, which is on at the end, or side 2. And most of this album is kind of country, kind of rock, soft rock stuff. But then Angry Eyes is the kind of like, they've done a craft work. They've put this kind of weird experimental thing at the end of the album. And for me, it's one of those tunes that first think where actually they brought jazz into it. And jazz is a massive influence on what the yacht rock sound was. So
huge, yeah.
We're going to play Angry Eyes. We might not play it all because it's 7 minutes long, but we'll play it long enough to get the gist of, like, you know, what's going on. So Matt, can I cast you the mic and I'll just pop it on?
Let's give him a minute to get this onto the turntable. Now the good news is, you know, we've got the first bit of good news is you'll be delighted to know that this is the last time you're going to hear me doing an interview this evening. But the other bit of great news is, as soon as we finish this interview, Dom is going to get right up on those decks that are in front of us and play an hour of yacht rock and more for us. So the journey starts here with a little understanding and some of the things. Now, are you ready? Yeah.
Transient Radio.
Time and again I've seen you staring out at me. Well, I bet you wish you could cut me down with those angry eyes. You won't believe that I am not the same as you. Now I can't conceive, oh Lord, of what it is you're trying to do with those angry eyes. Well, I bet you wish you could cut me down with those angry eyes. What a shot you could be if you could shoot at me with those angry eyes.
Well, I hate to cut that one short, but for purposes of time, we had to. But it was, for me, when I heard that, and it was just a few years ago now, I was like, okay, I understood the kind of pop country bit at the beginning, but then it just goes into kind of jazz solos and stuff. And I was like, to me, this is where the music really comes from. It's not just Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina writing the song. They're taking chances. They're experimenting in the studio. There's some standard stuff. Your Mama Don't Dance is on there. That was a big hit from that album. But you can already see that they're taking chances. And I think, you know, these kind of albums are the precursor to the traditional
This
yacht
is your
sound.
proto-yacht.
Yeah, well, it's
in a way.
as those podcast boys call it. But there's going to be influences coming in from everywhere. You know, these are ambitious songwriters. These are, you know, surrounding themselves with studio musicians who really understood how to do it all.
So that's another feature of a lot of this music, right?
So we're going to talk about that more when we get to the next song. But say, for example, on Angry Eyes, which we just heard, there's a keyboardist called Michael O'Martian.
Yes.
Who, if you look through kind of what the roll call of yacht rock kind of classics is, or famous artists, you'll see that Michael O'Martian, for one, is someone who played regularly on these tracks,
Featured
these
again
very
and again.
famous tracks, yeah.
Yeah.
Album after album, on singles. Again, it's all about this kind of group of unsung heroes. I watched something on, is it Netflix or Amazon, about the immediate family.
Yes.
Yeah, the people that work with Jackson Brown and James Taylor and all of that. And you know what you started getting in the 70s, a Wrecking Crew before them.
Yes.
So that's it. And this is all LA as well. This is mostly West Coast groups of session musicians coming together, supporting these artists, which are the face of what's going on. They're the people like in the video or on the front of the album cover, but they weren't really the people producing the music. And to be fair to a lot of these artists that we're going to talk about, like Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins, they were actually producing the music as well. They're talented musicians,
yes.
obviously great singers, but they still surrounded themselves with this group of musicians who played so frequently together that they developed their own sound and their own understanding, telepathic understanding of what to do. And a lot of what the yacht rock sound is about is actually that continuity between the same artists coming back to play on the very similar records for different people.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what we're going to put on next is is a track called Lowdown by Boz Scaggs.
Stone cold classic.
Yeah, so this is from an album called Silk Degrees, and this is 1976. You have to apologise for the state of my copy. The vinyl's really nice condition, but the sleeve ain't. So,
did you see me produce my copy of Step On earlier on? Because you'll know that we're not about the condition of covers.
We are not about the conditions of cover. I'm not that kind of collector, Geff, and neither are you. None of us are, right?
Right.
But the key thing about this is one name we haven't mentioned yet about yacht rock, and in a way they're the most important band, is Toto.
Unbelievable.
So Toto, you're probably aware of a track called Africa. Everybody knows Africa, right? But how Toto came about, Toto were actually a group of session musicians who played together so frequently in the late 70s in LA that they just looked at each other one night and said, why don't we just make a couple of tracks? They had some extra studio time booked in, the main artist had left, and they started writing and just laying down tracks. And of course, they played with each other so often that they could do it like really, really easily. So that's how Toto was born. I think this is where I need my notebook, but I'm going to try and remember the names. On this tune called The Lowdown, so this is Boz Scaggs, who's the singer, very distinctive voice. Like somebody told, so I watched a video of someone trying to imitate him, and he said it's like trying to sing like Kermit the Frog, which is probably right. But on this tune, the Toto personnel who were playing was Jeff Porcaro, David Hungate, and can I remember? David Page. So they were basically the people that started Toto, and this is one of the first. They've been playing together, but this is one of the first times they kind of locked into a particular sound. And I think if you are familiar with the yacht rock sound, on this tune you can kind of hear yacht rock in its full form already.
Yeah. More to say, or should we get to it?
I think we should get on with it. Matt, do you want to say anything?
Yeah.
Babies in the run much you done spent. I swear she must believe it's all heaven sent. Hey boy, you better bring the chick around to the sad, sad truth, the dirty low down. Taught her how to talk like that. Give her that big idea. Nothing you can't handle, nothing you ain't got. Put your money on the table and drive it off the lot. Turn on that old love light, turn a maybe to a yes. Same old schoolboy game got you into this mess. Hey son, better get on back to town. Face the sad old truth, the dirty law down. Put those ideas in your head. Have a Jones for this, Jones for that. This running with the Joneses, boy, just ain't where it's at. You're gonna come back around to the sad, sad truth, the dirty low down. Got you thinking like that, boy.
So yeah, so I mean, a great track. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, we play Boz regularly. We play that track regularly. Definitely, we love it. Yeah, and but you know, you were just talking to us about like all the elements of Yacht are there. Everything. Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, people can argue about this. You know what the internet's like. I'm sure people go on the internet and argue with strangers about this kind of thing. It's not my style. So whilst I've got the mic, I'm going to say I feel like this is that first track where it's all present and correct. And the reason for that is Jeff Porcaro on the drums.
Yep.
So he's the drummer from Toto. He's like the originator of that band. Tight as you like. Learned from Bernard Purdie. What a very, very famous jazz and rock drummer.
I mean, there's a great story about Purdie doing the Steely Dan sessions as well, but I'm sure we'll get to those things later on.
Yacht Rock's all about stories, man. So, the guitar, the bass, the tightness, you can hear everything playing so well together. It's got melody, it's got rhythm, it's got a strong bass driving it. Now, not all yacht rock is at that tempo. There's a lot of variation.
No,
and
it
stuff.
can't all be the same, right?
But it's that one word I haven't really kind of mentioned yet, and it kind of sounds silly when you say it. But a lot of people talk about smooth music. There's a quality to it where you just feel like this is so slick, and it was so slick because these people had played together a lot. You can just feel a particular sound emerging from that.
I think the other thing is they were used to working in studios.
Yeah.
Right? And they knew all the studios. They worked in all the studios because they were doing sessions for everyone.
Yeah.
So not only were they super tight and super familiar with each other, right? But they also, when they got in the studio, they didn't have to waste any time like prepping, getting it set up, getting ready to actually use it, because they were there, they were doing it already, so the sessions were always productive.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. I was just watching something recently about the Wrecking Crew, and they were the same. So it's like they'd turn up, and it's like, and they people would start talking to them, and they say, "Look, this is nice, but what do you want us to play? Just give us it, and we'll play it." And they could just play it like that. And I think what's happening here is very much the same. You've got these talented people who are building up a rapport, and then they become really famous. They become the go-to guys. So like Steve Lukather, Jeff Porcaro, David Paich, Bobby Kimball, who came in as a singer for Toto. He's the one that you can hear on Africa, on Hold the Line, I think on Hold the Line as well. But and then, of course, up-and-coming artists or labels that wanted to kind of break people, they went and sought these session musicians out. And with those session musicians came this sound, and they liked it. It was LA, it was summer, it was breezy, it was smooth, it was slick. It's like this combination of factors kind of came together and inspired Kenny Loggins, Malcolm McDonald. The only people that really kind of worked separately to them, and they still used a lot of them, was Steely Dan, who were like, you'd say maybe the godfathers. But between Steely Dan and their studio craft, plus Toto and their studio craft, that really is the whole ball game when it comes to yacht rock.
So I suppose that is a great moment where you pull that record out, and then we talk about the next topic you're going to get into. But that Steely Dan story, there's legions of stories about the Steely Dan sessions, about them, getting the whole band into a studio, recording mammoth 24-hour sessions, and then the guys, going away to sleep, coming back in the next session and going like, oh, how did I sound? And Fagan being like, I've no idea. I only had one instrument mic'd up for the entire session, and there's all kinds of stories like that. And Purdie, who you mentioned, the reason why I kind of it made that story flash up to me was Purdie, who was this kind of legendary studio drummer, would come in, and he had this thing about it. He would come in and he actually had signs. So he would put up next to his drum kit with congratulations, you've hired Bernard Purdie on one side, you've got a hit record on the other side, right? And he was like the Uber session drummer, right? And to this day, people still sample, and you can buy records of his drums. But being interviewed for one of those making of albums, I can't remember which Steely Dan one it was, he came on, and at the beginning of his interview was just like, man, they worked us hard. And that's just his interview for the Steely Dan recording session. Right, anyway, tell us about, the ladies getting some in Yacht.
Yeah, well, I think the thing to be totally honest about is it was a very male-dominated genre. Now, I don't think it needed to be. Maybe that was the politics of the time, or just the way that record labels were promoting that music, or who they were trying to break as artists.
Maybe a market segment they were trying to aim at as well. You know,
also the fact that, like, you know, women, you know, typically underrepresented in a lot of these things, where
Yep.
obviously completely unfairly. But there were some artists who were prevalent in the scene. They tended to do just kind of one-off albums here and there. This one I've queued up, or about to queue up, is Valerie Carter. I'm not sure the background, so I won't go into it. I think she died quite young. But just as continuity from the last song, this features pretty much all of Toto in the background. So
Nice.
This is a singer who's, you know, who's basically just hired in an immaculate support band who can basically do anything. And you'll hear, hopefully, lots of similarities between this song and the last song, without them being the same at all. For just another fact, this song was written by and keyboards performed by James Newton Howard, who before he was a film score supremo, basically played a lot of keys and wrote songs in LA. So it was obviously a very good place to start one's career.
Yeah.
Matt, do you want to say anything? I'll cue this one up. No, you good? Right, yeah.
Come on.
Let's let the woman sing for herself here. This is a good
Absolutely.
one.
It's been the mornings, I think, that for years have been making me worry. It's the sun in my eyes that keeps me from driving home. It's these things on my mind, I can't rehearse lines any longer. Living with me must be worse than being alone. I went too far, I heard you say, forgetting where I've been. Reckless and crazy, I know. I went too far, I heard you say, but you know that I'm always gonna be this way. Reckless and crazy, that's most probably true. There ain't no doubt that you're the one that bought my line more easily than the others. With your 1 foot in and my 1 foot out of the covers. Here's to the exception. Propose a toast to me. probably true. Here's to the exception. Propose this toast to me. No whispering, please. I'm always on the run from things I swear I never done. You think I'm just having fun, but the truth is it's driving me crazy, crazy. And I think you know what I mean to say. I am crazy, 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 crazy. And I think you know.
Yeah, that was lovely. And yeah, so what? Basically, Toto, but with an alternative vocalist.
Yeah,
Right?
Toto, everybody in the background, all the names I've just mentioned. I'm not sure how many albums Valerie Carter made. I only know this one because of that tune. I guess other names he might associate with the genre: Carly Simon,
Oh yeah.
Melissa Manchester, Nicole Larson. There are others, and I'm forgetting some, but it was nowhere near as many as the male folk who kind of like dominated this sound. So, but you know, representation is required because there's some really good stuff out there by the ladies of Yacht, as the podcast called it.
Yeah. And that's a winner. That is a winner.
Yeah, I mean, it can't go wrong when you got that band, but like the really nice song, you know, just that's.
It's got great. The bridge is brilliant.
Yeah,
in that song.
it takes a while to get to the chorus. It's got an interesting structure. It keeps you waiting.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's part of the build up of the song. That's the craft, and you know, Valerie Carter, good songwriter. James Newton Howard on co-writing, obviously knows his way around. The scales, right? You know, he's quite good at all of that stuff.
It's quite good. Yeah. It's not going to be a struggle.
So you think, like, how could that kind of stuff fail? I don't know how successful it was at the time. I'm guessing not massively successful.
Yeah. Okay.
But as a collector, coming back to it now, you know, we're not living in the same time. So what we're all looking for is quality, right?
Yeah.
Does it stand out? Does it catch your ear? And
has it held the test of time as well for a record like that?
Yeah, which I think it has. I mean, you might not have heard that before, but I think you both were like, exactly.
Number one, I hadn't heard it, and number two, I was, especially when we got to that bridge, I was just like, I'm happy now.
This comes back to what we were saying about, you know, that kind of collector's passion, you know, the going out and looking for it, because if you can look at the names on the back. You don't even need to be in a position to listen to it. You can make a judgment call. I flipped that album over and I saw who was on it, and I think it was a $5, something like that. That's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, well, is it worth a go for a $5? Yeah, let's find out.
A punt. We'll all take a punt with vinyl. Yeah. We're all vinyl fans, so we'll all take a punt. But you can have an educated guess.
Well, especially if you know the personnel, if you know the right time, etc., etc. Yeah. That becomes an educated guess. So we're going to get you to play another track. I'm going to remind people that you're going to play a set because we don't have a great deal more of this kind of chat time left, and we do want to get you on the decks. But the other thing we did while you may have noticed if you were watching at home or whatever you're doing, that I pulled a record out of my own bag and invited Dom to tell me whether he felt it was Yacht or not. Now. We're not going to reveal the answer yet.
No,
we're not.
Okay.
We're going to let you play your track, and then maybe we'll cue one track off that album, and you can give an on-air opinion.
Yeah, no, that's put me to the test. Yeah. And there was some other stuff we can go through. I'll just put that in the set later.
Yeah, awesome.
I just wanted to touch upon another aspect of it, which is, there's not much. This is basically a very US-dominated genre.
And a very LA-dominated genre.
Very LA, very West Coast. It's not to say there weren't pockets elsewhere. We were talking about a Little River Band, who are Australian earlier on. Very little in the UK. I do want to say I didn't bring it, but I think there is a song off a Dennis Waterman album from 1980, which is Yacht,
Yes.
called Wasn't
Now
Love
we're
Strong
talking.
Enough.
I mean, yeah,
but I'm not
nice.
playing it. I haven't bought it, unfortunately. Maybe for another time. But this one is a UK band called the Vapor Trails. The connection back to Yacht is this album was produced by Larry Carlton, who is a guitarist for many Steely Dan albums, especially the early ones. And so there is a connection back. But yeah, it wasn't totally dominated by that. And I'll be interested to see what you make of a bit of English yacht rock.
I'm into it. Right, let's go.
How long or what sweet second is your love life gonna suffer? You give and I take back. Say how do we help each other? I said oh, I don't wanna hurt you, but I'm tired and needy of love. I can't live without it. There's no doubt about it. Try not to squeeze it, slim and sleazy. Witty in a conversation, witty in a conversation. Small talk and parties, bossing over in a dungeon, slipping and sliding. I said that I need this, like I need a hole in the head. I'm on the road again. What am I gonna do? I'm in love with you. You do the bossa nova, I do the bossa nova, you do the bossa nova. Trim and squeezy, slim and sleazy, we're in a conversation. What am I gonna do with you? Small talk and parties, bossing over in a garden shed, slipping and sliding. I said, oh, I don't wanna hurt you, but I'm tired and needy of love. I can't live without it. There's no doubt about it. Do the bossa nova, you do the bossa nova, do the bossa nova, you do the bossa nova, do the bossa nova, you do the bossa nova, do the bossa nova, you do the bossa nova, do the bossa nova, you do the bossa nova.
All right, so UK yacht, excellent. All right, sailing boat, we'll call that for UK
Yeah,
yacht.
I mean, you can hear that's quite kind of like candy floss, compared to some of the other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But there isn't that many examples to choose from kind of UK yacht. So I was struggling a bit to find definitive thing. The Dennis Waterman song, by the way, is interesting, but again, a bit rough around the edges, let's say, as you'd imagine. Yeah. Okay, so you're putting me on the spot here, aren't you?
We are. Yes, we are. And that's the kind of kind of live streaming event that we are.
Because full disclosure, I have not heard this. I mean, it looks cool. I love the name. I have heard of the band, but this could have been released yesterday, as far as I knew.
So this is Sopwith Camel, and the album is called The Miraculous Hump Returns from the Moon. Yes, thank you. And the track that I'm going to play is called Farzon. I first heard this on one of these kind of obscure it was a thing about obscure music on Spotify. How do tracks get onto Spotify when they're really obscure, right? And so I was like, this is intriguing. I've got to try this out. So I started listening to this, and a lot of it, you're like, okay, yeah, fine. But this came on, I was like, this is a winner. I need to find out more about these guys. And then it took me a long time to hunt down a copy of this album. And I pulled it out to just say to Dom, like, is it Yacht or not? And then as he's just said, like, he'd not heard the track, so he didn't know. So I said, okay, now's the time. This is it. We're getting a definitive position, right? So we're going to play some of it, and then we're going to get the verdict. So... Okay, we're ready. We have a verdict.
You give me an amazing sense of power now.
Yeah. Wield it.
Right. So one thing I'll qualify before I kind of jump in here is you mentioned the Yacht or Yacht podcast earlier on, and they do have some notional criteria.
Yes, they do.
On then, but I'm not going to hide behind that because I think some of it's too restrictive. So I would, they think about like, what's the personnel like? Is there people from Toto? What's the period? It's 76 to 84. So this has neither personnel nor the period. So I'm going to put this, because I love the vibe of it. It's absolutely that West Coast vibe. Yep. I'm going to put it as proto. I'm saying proto.
Yeah. See, now, so there is a reason for all of this, right? So in that kind of obscure music on Spotify thing that I got into, right? They described this as the forgotten yacht rock album, right? And I was like, or the forgotten psychedelic yacht rock album, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
And
yeah.
and so I can kind of get behind the psychedelic bit, especially. I mean, you haven't seen all of the go and check it out because they've got a song on there called Astronaut Food. There's something about there's lots of references to the moon. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. But I don't think this was yacht. I thought it was kind of psychedelic folk rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's so I would go with that kind of proto type.
Yeah, because I wouldn't rule it out. Like you can hear the antecedents in it, like, but there was many bands like that, like America, you know, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You know, what is it? Laurel Canyon Sound. I'm going to play some Ned Doheny first up when I hit the decks. Like all of that is of a particular flavour, and I guess the argument and why the yacht rock term is kind of restrictive and why people don't like it is it potentially isolates you from all this other stuff that went before.
Well, yeah,
it's
and
part
indeed,
of the continuum, right?
Yeah. So interesting. No, but it was good. It's a good little fun little thing to play.
The tune. Yeah, great tune. I'm going to be listening to this album on the way home later for sure.
And there's other winners on there, so I would recommend it. So let's get one more from here, and then we'll get the decks working, and we can get you up there and get some fun music.
Let's play a classic.
Here we go.
Yeah. So, but my only reservation is this, as you know. So just to say very quickly. The three of us used to DJ in central London.
Correct.
In the late 90s, early noughties together at a night we ran called The Surgery. Give Me the Night by George Benson was a favourite one of mine to play. This record has seen some action, put it that way, and it's a little bit worse for wear now. But we're not going to play Give Me the Night, although that's yacht. Plenty of Quincy Jones stuff from the early 80s, like The Dude, Thriller is controversially but probably rightly classed as yacht rock, at least some of the tracks on it. But Breezin' on here, which I think does have a little scratch on, so we're gonna chance it, and if it sounds terrible, we'll take it off. But this is like
excuse to get you on the decks, Dom.
So basically like Breezin', George Benson. Do I need to introduce this? This is an absolute classic. No, it's instrumental, gives you all that summer vibes. If you ever thought yacht rock is about that. Living on a boat, looking out, drinking champagne, looking out to sea, the sun shining on you. Well, this is the song that will just enhance that moment for you. So, and hopefully it's not too scratchy.
Right. We are there. We are ready. talk. A massive thank you to everyone who's participated this afternoon. So many people to thank. I'm not really going to do that now. What I am going to say is thank you very much if you stuck with us for the afternoon. And now to pay off, as we're going to spend the whole evening playing some lovely music. We've got a great selection of DJs going to come through. Enjoy it. Thanks so much. Have fun. I'm not really going to do that now. What I am going to say is thank you very much.
Radio.
Heaven knows just where the struggle